Welcome everybody to Mudflood was Armageddon. Mudflood was the Armageddon. The Armageddon the Bible talks about. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Also, I'll take that and say it's a flat earth nation and the golden age is past because after Armageddon, there was the 1,000 years. And after the 1,000 years, there was a reaping and a reset. 1711 is my year. 1666 maybe in the Julian calendar. I'm sticking with it. But then there was like hardly anybody here, only us remnant. The last of the people who could be born again, who are dead in their sins. So it's another way of saying that the rest of the dead, here we are after the 1,000 years to, for all intents and purpose, the world you see around us was what it was like in Jerusalem, the world. Who knows what they did during the 1,000 years? That's not what we're here to discuss tonight. RJ couldn't join me. He's been so busy. Hey, you're gonna not be the only one here, and you boo bears and all the other bears from back in the beginning. I'll bet you're glad you're a bear now that the prophecies are being fulfilled and the world is burning, because this is a judgment, not a restoration. I've got to move on. I'm going to ditch this virtual background. I'm in university. I got an academic scholarship, got a full ride academic scholarship for my house and my everything else. And I'm doing an art minor. My partner, my co-host, Randy, wants to see some work. He wanted to see the sculpture, but this is ceramics I worked on last semester. You see, the assignment was make one side for one family. The inside's the same, but it was a hard class. That was my final project. I did this on kind of a whim just to show how easy that whole Van Gogh sunflower thing really could be. It's not, and don't think ceramics is an art form that is easy. But RJ, this is my final, one of my three that I have to present for the, cast aluminum. That is an ear. Tongue. I don't know if you could see it. The tongue has engraved on it fire. The eye, that is my eye. That's my foot. So it'll clean up, and I've got some Bible verses on it. And it's basically what I want my life to be, what I want your life to be. It does, it balances, it stands up. How beautiful are the feet. Oh, there's the Bible verse. Luke 12:53. Pure eyes, watch out for your tongue, it's a fire, your ears, clean them out. That's an ear. That's my tongue, that's my eye. How beautiful are the feet. So your life should be about the gospel. And, I'm in school because I study and I do all these things, but I'm here in Alamosa, Colorado, because I believe the end is nigh. The end is near. The whole flat earth thing, and I'm getting it more and more figured out every day. So let me get this lesson rolling here today. And I know that none of my moderators or anything are here, but I'm hoping that some of my friends from Australia and some of Fractal Education, Outback John, the guitar playing man, Ella Rose, other people I've talked with, I know that this is closer to their time schedule. Well, let's just do it. Yabba dabba do it. I don't want to, new crowd, new everything else. These are organic cigarettes with organic tobacco, never been proven to cause cancer. My email, this is from a gyroscope. The devil's device. These are the things that they found in the caves because there's been a reset. And a little bit of a setup here, but they find these things and then they figure them out. It's like, who made this? It's 128 years ago. And look at the power that, if you saw this in a garage sale, what would you think? That you need to put your elbow on it, crank it with all your might, and watch out you don't break your hand. This had to power something very important. Because one little switch and this thing could go for, I would say, an hour. Watch the RPMs. 20,000 RPMs. What do you need a gyroscope like that for 128 years ago? And who makes it? Who makes those kind of things? That's what this world is full of. Mysteries. Is the world gone wrong? Hey, and I didn't even mention that today is, May Day. This is Warlock, Witches and Warlock Day. That whole Maypole, Labor Day. All of them are about our history. It's always been a planned, who's going to make the money? What's going to be a family? Now, today I'm learning more and more about how feminism is a prop up. All of a sudden, they've been discriminated against, like the Native Americans, or the indigenous anywhere. The Hispanics were, the blacks with the slavery, but oh no, women had to do what? The Bible says you could, make a living. Read Proverbs 31. What rights actually were being withheld? It was the Great Enlightenment, right? For the Great Enlightenment. Everything goes back for the French, for us who descended to them. You in Australia, New Zealand, the United States, who booked up after the reset, had some hidden clues and took over the world and wasn't afraid to enforce genocide and slavery on everybody. And yet, we go back to that enlightenment, the fake enlightenment, where that's where women got like, why can't, if I want to vote, why can't I vote? Well, that's a different question. But does that mean I need a job, I'm equal to you, I don't want to raise children anymore? That's losing natural affection. Because as I'm going to show over the next few days, where in the world wasn't the family the number one thing? It wasn't only Christianity, because it comes down to the enlightenment of the Enlightenment was we don't want the Bible anymore. They banned churches in France. They made it a 10-day week because they didn't want to be saddled with the memory of people remembering Sunday was a holy day, that Christ rose from the grave on a Sunday. That's where we're at. And we're going to lose that battle. If you're on the narrow road, or if you're thinking about clicking off going, I don't want, my wife will never, your wife won't change. We've all been indoctrinated into it. And it's going to be a very narrow road from here on out of finding a woman who actually wants to be a wife and raise a family as a Christian. Because there's always going to be that compromise that the world has placed upon you. You need 2 incomes. And then if you have a child, you know, if you're making like $30,000 a year, it costs like $18,000 for childcare. And then insurance, and then in diapers, and they're going to disincentivize it. And we have a generation of people who are 50 years old in the United States who think that aborting babies is a constitutional right. That's the world that is burning right now. And that's why it's burning. But they will never, not in Australia, not in Canada, not in the United States, will you have the majority again vote and say that, you know, we're going to end abortion all the time for everybody anywhere. You know, there's going to be restrictions and it's going to be fought on. But my goodness, people, they're talking about ending a human life and they go, well, what about rape or pregnancy? No, they want to do it anytime, anywhere, even if after the child's born. Sometimes they just say, you know what, I changed my mind, and they want to give them time to do that. Because life doesn't mean life anymore. It means live to consume. Let's just see where the tabs take us tonight. We had the most insane video ever. Oh, let me go back on that. This is in Westmoreland, Kansas. Westmoreland is the same last name of the general that ran the Vietnam War. The Sulphur, Oklahoma town that got wiped off the map and is about to get hit again, well, is getting hit as we speak. I'll check the live weather. But they never used to film these things. And watch.
Incredible tornado. Look at it, look up.
Oh, wow.
You can see it when they, you know, if you could slow it down, that thing is turning. It's just the finger of God. God comes in wrath in the clouds. He's angry because the majority will never believe him, and they are experiencing a righteous judgment. And Christians will suffer right along with them. We'll actually be blamed later. Look at this. They're saying they've never seen these things like this before.
Where's the bird? Bird's still up. Look at it! Look at it! That thing moves! Very good! There's debris over our head!
There were 83 last weekend, 83 tornadoes. Are they strong?
Oh, my God.
Hello? Hello?
No job, no future, insurance sketchy, no electricity, no cell phone. Welcome to the world as it burns, as the prophecy that was stated February 2nd, fulfilled February 4th, and it's on. Somebody sent me this. I thought it was cool, man. They even had a picture of where I ended up. Let's just see. What are they talking about?
I mean, there was kind of, they had a cookie cutter template where they were trying to do this whole land speculation thing where they were going to develop this valley. And I think it had varying levels of success. I know the sheep herds exploded. The railroad moved thousands, millions of sheep. That was the...
All aboard for Alamosa. Now it's more true than ever. This was one of the last places developed in the United States. It's so sparse. It was on the list. They were going to test the fake nuclear bombs here. But it's an obscure place that is going to be the last place when the cities start burning because, well, they had to trick people into coming here because nobody lives here. We're in the middle of nowhere, man. It's not cost effective for people to come hunt for people here. That's why the Utes Indian Nation lasted the longest.
Hooper, Mosca, I don't know if Villa Grove was on there, Crestone might have been in there, but it was the sales pitch, and it was pitching this Eden where the crops watered them.
It was pitching this Eden where the crops watered themselves. Just come and start a new life. Just take a little loan, come to America, sign your life away to your Roman Catholic overseers. They'll have the hospital. They'll have churches. They'll have Freemason clubs inside. You'll think it's all hunky-dory until you'll realize, wait, I just took a death oath? They lied, so what? What are you going to do about it, Freemason boy?
Themselves and the clean air, and I think there was something about like no respiratory disease. I mean, there was some stuff that they were really must have been really important back then as far as what they were trying to convince people to move here to do. I mean, there was they had a cookie cutter template where they were trying to do this whole land speculation thing where they were going to develop this valley. And I think it had varying levels of success. I know the sheep herds exploded. The railroad moved thousands, millions of sheep. That was the initial land speculation plan. And then it just went away. And it's crazy to me how quick
it just went away. Yeah, because that's part of the plan. Thank you for sending me this link. Was it Vincent? Oh, I don't. Zachary. Thank you, Zachary. All I had to do was act like I didn't remember it, and then of course it would slip into my mind. I am not an absent-minded professor. I'm at the top of my game. I'm just a little diminished because of all of these Wi-Fi everywhere on this campus is everywhere. And those forever drugs that the military just sprayed all over the place for no apparent reason. Hey, this is live. Well, this is a few minutes ago.
And then also still have, still tremendous lightning here continuing with the storm behind me. A lot of lowered clouds, certainly with this storm. I believe they may have just issued a new warning on this storm. It's pretty big warning, as a matter of fact.
Happy May Day.
Yep. So this is for ping pong ball at 60. When they're actually showing that it's moving a little bit faster, and Perry's included in it. So moving southeast at 25. That's a little bit faster than what had been moving.
These are the same towns that got hit last weekend.
That warning right there. That new.
All of these towns in Oklahoma. This used to be called. It was the last territory for free Native Americans. Sorry, we drove you out of your native lands on the east and made you go to Oklahoma. But now we found oil, so we need Oklahoma. You're going to have to leave. And they took over and said, we're the Oklahoma Sooners. That means we cheated. We got there sooner than everybody else.
On ball size hail, moving to the southeast at 25 miles per hour. And then also, I hate to see this, but a severe thunderstorm warning was just issued. Now, this.
There's another drug that's probably not good for you. They'll come out with something about it later. Tornadoes on the ground.
Hi. Hopefully everybody can hear this. I think we're back. I don't know yet. Need to make sure people are actually in the chat before I actually know where. That foreign stuff is about 16 and a half. I guess I don't think there will be anything too crazy for Thursday.
There you go. So let's see. People, always trying to find contradictions, not going to find them. I got on this kick tonight after being in class. What is this? Hopscotch. There's a number of games all over the world that is a popular playground game that, as we look over here, there is no real. The game started, like they normally say, with a lonely housewife and her husband decided to make a new game to keep their kids busy. Let's see their origin. Well, it's been around forever. The painted grayware era. It listed as a game prohibited by the Buddha. Like Cat's Cradle, the game with the string, there's different versions of that people took to Armageddon. One for sorrow, two for mirth. Get to heaven. Doesn't sound like, why would you ban that, Buddha? Very intricate street mosaic of the hopscotch game. Very interesting pattern right there of the 5-shot revolver. Boston was into hopscotch. All-seeing eye on the left there. You see it. It was along with the alphabet and some code, I'm sure. Latin school. We know why they needed to do Latin, so that they could pass their codes, their hidden messages with their magic squares. Come on, people, now smile on your brother. Let's keep them busy. Busy, I'm telling you. That's some dark humor. Hopscotch. I didn't get a lot of pictures today. Remember, this is supposed to be something that I'll have to learn about. But it was in a group of pictures that. This is from a movie about a guy who wrote a book that exposed the CIA. Do people really shake hands like that? Or is that a Freemason sign in a movie of somebody putting it right on the knuckle? Ladies and gentlemen, you want to keep pretending and you're that, maybe I should watch a few more videos and then I'll make up my mind if I should really love the Lord and follow him, even though people might laugh at me. If it's written on your heart, you'll have no choice. You'll follow him. I searched for hopscotch. It led to something from this, The Old Man in the Mountain. I'm not quite sure, but you know me, I tend to think I get led things on a reason. Like if this is my algorithm, well, that's the satanic, torture group, right? Oh my goodness. This is in my algorithm. That's obviously fake. Hey, The Old Man in the Mountain. We saw that come up on the algorithm. What is it? It's an old stone face. It used to be a tourist attraction. It was a big, big deal with the Mohawk people. It was mentioned as a cultural icon, and then in 2003 it collapsed. Oh no, they were making a fortune off of it. It looked like a human. Daniel Webster, the famous dictionary man, said the old man, referencing the old man in the mountain, I'm sure, became famous across the United States largely because of the statesman and New Hampshire native who once wrote, "Men hang out their signs indicative of their respective trades. Shoemakers hang out a gigantic shoe. Jewelers a monster's watch. The dentists hang out a gold tooth, but up in the mountains of New Hampshire, God Almighty has hung out a sign to show that here he makes men." Wrong. He made men out of their dust, and now they just, you know about the birds and the bees. That's not what this show is all about. Before and after, it kind of does look like an old man in the mountain. They've been loving it since 1926. And now we know that it's all true. Profile rock, that's kind of weird too. You know, I'd have to do an autopsy to know if it's really a face, but it's out there. It's out there. Old man of the lake, that's supposed to be an old man? It's a log. I don't see it. Wikipedia, oh, I still don't see it. But they did it, they saw that same log. Get out of here with that one. Mountain Pemigwest. You got to do better than that if you want to compete with the old man in the mountain. I mean, but they're there. People see it. There's a list of them, you know. I'm sure there's got to be more than that. Sleeping Giant in Canada. Well, there's a lot of sleeping giant mountains. There's some in Colorado. I don't know why the list is so small. Nice fenced wall too there. What is, but pseudo archaeology, it's really taken off, hasn't it? Archaeoastronomy, King Tut's tomb, that really hasn't been that long, about 100 years ago they opened that up and people like, oh no, the curse. Beware the 2nd century, it says, those exposed by Lucian's sarcastic essay, Alexander the False Prophet, prepared an archaeological find in Chalcedon to prepare a public for the supposed oracle they plan to establish. Wow. Maybe they faked it, maybe they didn't. But indigenous people, white supremacy, nationalism, colonialism, these topics are never going to go away because that's how they founded the world. After the reset, they came out knowing some of the answers. The Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, it's time to get on board with the whole theory that during the 1,000-year reign, there were wheats and tares, there were sheeps and goats. As it said, it was prophesied. Be careful. They're going to be among you. They're going to fake. I believe in Jesus and go to the hills and come out. Who planted these tares? It was Satan. These people didn't know. This man didn't know he was trained to be a servant. It was just the way it was. And they planned it that way. And now we're on to them and their bare-chested Minerva-type Columbia Liberty goddesses. This may as well be the fortune and destiny spoken of in the Bible. How could it be anything else in my mind? I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burned, burned, burned. Emmanuel Velikovsky, I mean, this was as late as 1950s when he was a best-selling author talking about how it seems so weird that everybody in the old days talks about how the world was coming to an end and they drew pictures of it. Psychiatrist, Hebrew University, celestial mechanics, proposed revised chronology for ancient Egypt. When were these written? Were they really bestsellers? Were they published by the big times? Yeah, he hung out with Albert Einstein and those guys. Everybody knew this was a reset, and now they're trying to act like we made it up. God didn't really show me it. I just made it up and took a lucky guess that everybody would go, yeah, sounds good to me. Let's go with the whole 1,000 years is over thing. Except leave out Jesus. We'll go with Atlantis. No, don't do that. Why don't tell me what to do? So who was this guy? The false prophet, Greek, mystic, oracle, founder of the Glycon cult, briefly, like maybe a false Christianity, who knows about these years, achieved wide popularity in the Roman world, and then maybe snuck some of their disciples in, talked about it. They made it through the Armageddon. Oh, there's a god Glycon that supposedly made up a live snake and an artificial head. He just fooled them all. Wow, it's just crazy. We got to look into this stuff because they got coins on this guy. It's like in that movie Twister. They got cows. These guys got coins. I want to look into more of the puppets and the Punch and Judy thing. The history of this is going to give me some sort of an idea of why. Why does everybody know Punch and Judy? Why did they focus it in so many movies, including The Sound of Music? I know that's the one you were thinking of, with Judy Garland. Remember that? It was so funny. All right. There was this one quote, and then we're on our way here. Pulcinella went down particularly well with Restoration British audiences. Fun-starved after years of Puritanism, we soon changed Punch's name, transformed him into a marionette, from a marionette to a hand puppet, and he became really a spirit of Britain, a subversive maverick who defies authority, a kind of puppet equivalent to our political cartoon. So that was their history. And granted, I am just getting into that things. There were epistles that they wrote from that cult. And this is, they still decorate some build. This is the Thomas Jefferson building of Minerva, looking rather boyish with a kind of is that an Adam's apple or a vortex? Because it doesn't. Hey, Michelle Obama, anybody? Gonna fly now, yeah. Flying high now. Did it do. Yeah. Abinotecos. So this is the city it all went down in. It was just another star-forged city. Nothing to be compared to Beverly Hills or Laurel Canyon, Hollywood Hills. That's where the judgment started. That's where the seat of Satan was. I want to introduce you to what I think is going to become, if I have any choice, I'm going to consider this to be one of the most important chapters that we could go over. And by we, I mean, any friends from Australia or anybody here? We got Mud Truck and Philip mixing. It's so good to see you guys. Tom, you're up late. Well, not really late because you're one of those East Coast or West Coast guys. But hey, check this out. The book of Esther. What was it like to be a man? Now, if I was right in my diatribe earlier about feminism and like, well, I don't want my husband to tell me what to do. Okay, the Bible says that he can, and I don't want him to be the head of me. Okay, you know, so now all of a sudden you've been treated as worse as the blacks and the Hispanics and the Inuits and all the indigenous of the world, and you're a minority that needs laws passed because you can be an Army Ranger, you could be a Navy SEAL, you could go to West Point. All they have to do is lower the physical fitness standards, you know, and it because doggone it, they're equal. I mean, how crazy does it have to get? And we're the minority now. To say that, you'll never convince the world. We are the narrow road. If you don't embrace that, you're not embracing the truth. Now, they would have an argument if all of the other countries in the world did not have cultures based on one man, one wife, raise your children, and get on with it. That's the history of the world. It's not only everybody else was not getting married. They tried to pretend that oh, the people in the Polynesia, everybody just has multiple lovers and women aren't tied down and you can do whatever you want. And then history said, no way. And the Bible kind of supports that. So let's look at that. Let's look at this as in Esther, because it's talking about King Xerxes. Now, he is not a Hebrew king. He reigned over 127 provinces. He was one of those guys, the big guys, star fort people of the Bible age, because he's mentioned in the Bible because he's married to Esther. You remember him as supposedly the bad guy in the movie 300. That man in the movie 300 that was supposed to be a feminine giant freak, in real life was married to Queen Esther in the Bible. Do you think you're giving a false view of history? I want you to know you are. And I'm not sugarcoating anything anymore. It's time for us to know that for half a year, he displayed his glorious riches and the greatness of his kingdom. He had a special garden. Well, we've seen those things. They're described in the Bible. We know what they are. We see their ruins. They've been destroyed. Beverages served in gold. Now, to get to the point, Queen Vashti was his wife. She also had a banquet going for women at that time. Now, on the seventh day, the king's heart was merry with wine. He got a couple of his eunuchs, his main men, and said, bring Queen Vashti before him, wearing her royal crown to display her beauty to the people and the officials. For she was a very beautiful woman. And this must have happened before, where she got where she was for being beautiful. But somehow, Queen Vashti, she said, no, I'm having a party and I'm not coming. She refused to come at the king's command. And all cultures thought they were hey, you're my wife. You wouldn't have these things unless I gave them to you. Or something like that. Or just, hey, come on. The king became furious and his anger burned within him. So the king said, he wasn't too drunk to know, to make a rash decision. His heart was only merry. The king consulted wise men who knew the times. Do you know the times? Or are you still thinking, there's a chance that maybe the rapture people are wrong, and that Trump will restore America to greatness. What do you know about your times? So he got all his closest advisors, and he asked a very pertinent question. Queen Vashti has defied the king, which later we find out from Esther that, if you disturb the king without permission, that's punishable by death. What should be done with Queen Vashti? She refused to obey the command of King Xerxes delivered by the eunuchs. And in the presence of the king and his princes, Memucan replied, Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but all the princes and the peoples in all the provinces of King Xerxes by not recognizing the headship of her husband. For the conduct of the queen will become known to all women, causing them to despise their husbands and say, King Xerxes, the man who ruled over 127 provinces, told his wife to be brought before him, and she did not. King Xerxes ordered Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she did not come. The reason they couldn't force her is because she's the queen. They had power given to her from the king of like, oh, I can't touch hers. That very day, the noble women of Persia and Media who have heard about the queen's conduct will say the same thing to all the king's officials, resulting in much contempt and wrath. So if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be recorded that the laws of Persia and Media, so that it cannot be repealed. So all of these countries, they knew that the king was the head of the queen. And the king answers to God. Everybody has a head. And it affects societies. And in going forward, I know now that it's not if. The simple fact that Queen Vashti in public refused was there. We could think of Rosa Parks as like, well, that's a good one. This is a bad one where it's planned to, she's not going to go. She's not going to get to be queen, but there's always going to be that doubt in their mind of the people that aren't on the narrow road. Why should I have to go to my husband? Simply because he probably married me because, well, he married Esther because she was the most beautiful, the smartest, beautiful girl available. So what's the trade-off, Vashti? Why do you think you're even there? So with that in mind, that is my opinion, and that is my May Day thoughts. Importance of book Esther, feminism, flat earth nation, it's all there waiting for you. And if you are hearing his voice, everyone is going to bow their knee to Jesus Christ. If you are hearing his voice, do it now. Flat earth nation. The Mudflood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else. Me and my friends, we'll never tell you anything else. Why would we? We're called and chosen. It's proven we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha.